What's up everybody, it's Jasmine. Today I am doing a video that was suggested by some of my viewers, and that is a video about why I moved to Sweden. So if you guys don't know, I come from New Zealand. That's why I speak Kiwi. And when I was in university studying my Bachelor of Visual Arts, I met a boy called Alex who was from Sweden, and he was an exchange student. So I fell in love with him, chased him around, and then eventually he became my boyfriend. And then, so we were still in New Zealand, and then he had to go back to Sweden to go back to school, do his studies, and I had to finish my degree and things like that. And then after I finished studying, then I applied for a 1-year working holiday visa, which New Zealanders have quite easy access to among several different countries. So basically you can apply to go and live and work in another country, and the idea is that you're mostly doing a holiday as a young person, but you also have the possibility to work, and this is usually before you turn 30. So after you turn 30 you can't apply for this type of visa. So I applied for that, got that, went to Sweden to meet my boyfriend's family basically, and also because I have always wanted to travel a lot, especially in Europe, because you know both of my parents have traveled a lot. My dad used to be in the New Zealand Navy for like 15-20 years, so he's been all around the world, right? And my mum, she's a keen traveler. Her dad came from Austria, so there's always been like a strong pull towards Europe, and Sweden is quite close to a lot of the countries that I am interested in. So places like Germany and the Baltic countries I'm also interested in visiting. So once I got to Sweden, I had plans of going and visiting other countries, and I did do a little bit of that. I went to Finland and Estonia, and then my mum came and visited, and we went to Norway, and we went to the Netherlands. So that was really fun and I enjoyed that, but I was also pretty anxious because, you know, I was like 21 years old, but I've always been a little bit, I guess, not as mature as other people my age. So then I wanted to extend my stay in Sweden. I wanted to stay with my boyfriend, didn't want to go back to New Zealand, but the permit situation in Sweden, getting a permit to stay and live and work in Sweden, was a bit, basically my boyfriend, he didn't want to do the partnership visa where I would apply to stay in Sweden as his girlfriend partner. So and you know, he had different reasons. So basically then my other options would be to apply for a permit, but I would have to go back to New Zealand to apply for it, and that would mean staying in New Zealand for 8 months or more, and I didn't want to do long distance again because I had a really difficult time with that last time. And like now that I'm older, I could definitely do long distance again, but definitely at that time, you know, I had a lot of like mental health issues and just really kind of miserable. And I would be even more miserable if I was waiting in New Zealand and also waiting to go back to somebody I loved. You know what I mean? Like it's like double stress. Like I was already so stressed out when I had to go back to New Zealand waiting for a new permit. So basically me and my boyfriend, we broke up because, you know, I thought this obviously isn't as serious or at a stage that I would like it to be, so I'm just gonna, get out of here. So I did that, and then I applied for a new work permit in Sweden that would allow me to stay to come back and stay for 2 years. So I was in New Zealand for about 10 months in total, and then I was fortunate enough to be granted the permit. So I came back to Sweden to work and to start building a life overseas, my own life as a single woman, whoop, and also to travel more, because before, when I was in Sweden, I wasn't working full time. I wasn't able to work the job that I was given wasn't a full-time job, so I didn't have the financial security that I would need to feel comfortable traveling, right? So this time around, I'm back in Sweden. I have a job that's full-time. I've got my own place that is secured for a certain amount of time, and so now I have been able to travel a lot more. I've been to Hamburg twice. I'm going back for Christmas. I've been to Estonia, Latvia, Norway several times. I'm living the life that I want to live. And so people ask me, why Sweden? And the answer is because that was the opportunity that presented itself. And then when I took up that opportunity, I realized that I really like it. I really like it in Sweden. It's so different during different times of the year. The winters are so dark and snowy, and it's like this fantasy land. And it feels like there's always so much for me to learn and to pick up and to understand different cultures. The opportunities to expand my perception of the world is so much more in Sweden at the moment, and so that's really cool. I love that. I thrive off of that. I live for that. So that's why Sweden. But for example, if I had to leave Sweden, I would apply for another work permit in a different country like Germany or something, and go and live and work there. So it doesn't necessarily have to be Sweden, but Stockholm is a pretty awesome city. The public transport is great. I don't need a car. I can bike everywhere. It's a good place to be by yourself and learn what you would like your life to be like, if that makes sense. So I love Sweden and I want to stay here. And people often, Swedish people, they're often like, oh, but New Zealand's so beautiful, why would you ever want to leave? I would love to move there. And the thing is that, I also think that New Zealand's a wonderful place. I think it's super, super beautiful. So the idea that I could get Swedish citizenship and have dual citizenship to 2 great countries, that is super exciting. I can spend the summertime in Sweden and then go to New Zealand for the New Zealand summer, that's so cool. So I don't feel like I'm giving up New Zealand for Sweden. I feel like I'm adding to my possibilities, and that's great. That's so cool. So I'm really happy with where I'm at, and I wouldn't change anything, I don't think. So my plans for the future is I have to wait to see if I'm allowed to stay for another 2 years in Sweden. I've sent in my application, but it takes about 8 months to process. So I'll be waiting for that answer from the migration agency. And if I stay in Sweden for another 2 years, then it's basically guaranteed that I will be eligible for permanent residency after that other 2 years is up. So basically I would feel a lot more secure in finding a permanent place to live, buying an apartment or something like that, maybe getting some animals, because I love dogs and I love cats, and I would love to have my own little cat and dog family, but I don't feel like it's appropriate for me to get myself an animal when I am not, I'm not even like 85% certain that I can stay in Sweden. So once I feel like that certainty is high enough, then I would feel like, I can get an animal without being unthoughtful to the fact that I might have to leave. So yeah, that's why I'm in Sweden. That's why I left New Zealand. There's nothing wrong with New Zealand, but I do like to expand my borders, expand my horizons, and it's really good to do stuff that you want to do. And I wanted to travel the world, not necessarily the world, but I really wanted to stay in Europe. So yeah, I hope that explains it. I hope you guys found this video interesting. I'm going to go and finish off my lunch and then get back to work. So I will see you guys all next time. Hey, door.